Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Today, we are going to talk about Roth Conversions. We're going to have aboard with us the coach, Dave Pimper. Just a quick introduction of Dave. Dave is the president of Lazarus Coaching, also the president of his own production firm. Top-level producer with us for many, many years now. I hate to say how many because that'll age us both, but it's been a while, probably 15 plus years we've been doing business together. Beyond that, Dave himself has been in the business for now over 40 years. Got in the business in the early 80s. He does both insurance products, life insurance, annuities, MedSups, and his firm does MedSups. And of course, he does securities as well. He's holds a Series 24. Series 6, Series 7, I think he has a Series 65 as well. So well qualified and well certified, just like many of you out in the field today. And beyond that, Dave has been a real valuable asset to our team because of his coaching expertise and because of his product knowledge, not just around a particular product, but maybe around more the sales and marketing part of the business. And so we've been privileged to have Dave aboard with us, doing some coaching with us and with our producers for probably about the last 13 years. As many of you may know, besides seminars regarding Social Security and retiree mistakes, and soon to be available based taxes and retirement type of seminar that will soon be released. Dave also has his radio show, which he makes available to our producers as well, called Retirement Boss Radio, which has been quite lucrative. And he also does coaching that is practice management and coaching around Social Security claiming and just coaching around a number of things that I think very valuable to some of our producers, including today's topic, which is Roth Conversions. So looking forward to a great webinar with Dave, and I'm guessing that he is probably just about now joining us. Let me see if I can confirm that for us. Yeah. Dave, can you hear me? Dave has joined. Hopefully not having any technical difficulties. I see him out there.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, Dave. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Kind of recovered from the post Labor Day fiasco and your big trip over to Ireland?
No. That was a fiasco. That was an offensive line fiasco. We had all kind of fiascos. I'm certainly, no, I'm not over it yet.
Not over it yet. But you had a great time in Ireland, so that's a good thing.
A great time. Had a great time. We did, yeah.
Good. Well, thank you for joining us here today. I gave the folks a quick run through of kind of your history, your production history with us, as well as your coaching and expertise on a couple of different subjects. I mentioned we're going to talk today about Roth Conversions. So as I thank all of our attendees for joining us today on a Thursday afternoon after a shortened Labor Day week, I appreciate everybody joining us, and let's bust right into talking about Roth Conversions.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for everybody for being on the line with us today on a Thursday. I appreciate it. We got a fairly full house, so that's good. It's talking about Roth Conversions. So I will say this: in production, a lot of people they really don't learn the ins and outs of Roth Conversions, and the reason is because there may be no money. I mean, it might just be a in-kind conversion where that same security stays the same security, and but what a help it can be to the client to go from a taxable event when taking money out to a tax-free event. And I'll say right now that most people do believe that tax rates will go higher in the future, not stay the same or not be lower. So one of the big things here is that kind of just getting the feel of the Roth conversion. So why do I know it's a timely strategy? Well, first of all, you don't see many pensions anymore, do you? They're disappearing. And what happens is that with a Roth conversion, putting that into a tax-free, if they take a systematic withdrawal, it's a tax-free pension, which is very beneficial for anyone who's in a middle income bracket or higher. There's a reduction in employee match programs in 401ks. Yeah. High income investors, no, the higher the income, the more the taxation, the more that a tax-free account pays for itself. And what also happens is that There's no RMDs. There's no conversion amounts. I mean, there's just a lot of benefits why to go into a tax-free account. Many, many, many. If you have any questions whatsoever, absolutely just type it in. Let me go back here on one. Just type it in, and we will be more than happy to answer that for you. So let's just talk specifically. So you're converting a traditional. You got that benefit going in. It's going to be taxable going out at ordinary income tax, and it converts into a Roth. Now, it may convert with a different asset, or it can convert with exactly the same asset. Okay, you're putting it in, and it's just you're just taking it from a conversion of an IRA to a Roth IRA. So it's kind of like pay me now or pay me later. Well, in this case, paying later with the conversion is beneficial from a tax standpoint. Now, tax deferred is good, but tax free is better. I'm just going to let you know that. And there is no required minimum distributions on Roth. So once it converts us into a Roth, there's no required minimum distributions for the spouse. And what happens is RMDs, if it's an inherited, then it would start from the 10-year rule. If you have to use money from the conversion to pay for the conversion, you're going to dig yourself in a pretty deep hole for a break-even time period. Instead of 7-8 years on a normality, it could go to 14, 15 years. I don't recommend that at all. It's just really, really tough because that money is a taxable event when it comes on out. So that's why it takes so long. So what happens on each conversion, different than an IRA, where it's the first one IRA put in, each conversion has a 5-year rule. So you have to keep it in there at least 5 years. And actually, that's even a misnomer, because no matter if you even do it April 15th, by the time tax season comes, it reverts back to January 1. So it could actually be could be as short as 3 years and 3.5 months. I mean that your holding period is. At the longest it is, it'll be 5 years. Each specific conversion, I've had people do many, many conversions through the years, and they all start the 5-year clock. Do I do a lot of partial conversions? You darn right I do. Person's got, say, a couple $100,000, they really want to convert it, and we'll convert maybe $50,000 a year, over 4 years, so he doesn't get in that highest tax bracket of what his earnings are. Really, right now, trying not to be political, but we're in a lower tax bracket or taxation era, mainly because of the Trump tax codes. That 26, if you're over 65, $27,000, $28,000 worth of deduction for a married couple is huge. And in 2025, it does sunset. So it will go away unless there's some congressional act that keeps it there. It's a great wealth transfer. You don't have to go to a lawyer, pay $300 an hour. You just go in from a beneficiary standpoint, and your beneficiaries, i.e. your spouse or kids, will get that on a tax-free basis, which is pretty cool. So what do you want to consider before you convert? Well, here's, I think, are the 3 or 4 key things. If your bracket's going to be lower in retirement, why go to a tax-free? There's no reason to. But that was the old adage of retirement accounts. Hey, it defers. You get the break when you're in the higher bracket. Now that you're retired, now it's a lower bracket. But in many cases, that's not the case. How soon will you need income? Because if you need to pull money right out of that Roth before the 5 years, it's a return of principal, not just from the earnings. You'd rather not do that. I already said pay the conversion out of non-IRA money. A lot of people think you got to do this when you're younger. I mean, pre-65, 70. Not the case at all. Why? I had a client up towards 90 years of age and had 6 kids, and he Roth converted every single year his account. And the reason for it, because when he died, which he has died, his wife has died since, but they had a ton of money in Roths, and that money went to the children without any kind of tax implication. What a great wealth transfer for estate planning purposes. Very inexpensive. There's no cost. You set up the beneficiaries and the investment correctly. Provisional income for Social Security is modified adjusted gross income plus half of your Social Security plus all, and here's the difference. Lots of times you'll hear it say, in all of your tax-free interest. But if you're taking interest from a Roth, that's tax-free interest, but it's not. Roths are not included in the provisional income taxation as far as Social Security is concerned. Roths are not. Municipal bond interest is, and that's a pretty big deal, pretty darn big deal. So why is an advisor? Why show a Roth conversion? We don't have to get money out of that unless there's a change in asset, because a lot of us don't do it. I do, but a lot of advisors don't do any Roth conversions, and that's a mistake. I'm telling you what. I mean, we've got software that'll show you what your rate of return is, what your tax bracket is, length of time. But normal conversions from 6 to 8 years, it probably takes that long to be worth your time over a conventional, traditional IRA. Being viewed a little differently in the eyes of the beholder, I think that there's something to say about that. Build some trust in the relationship. When I do Roth conversions with prospects, I want to look at their entire portfolio. I want to see what investments have done well and what hasn't. And just know this too. This is kind of, I just talked about this on the radio show, Steve. It was called tax allocation. And what I was talking about was that we certainly go in with, if you have a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA and you have choice of where money goes on in, okay? What happens, your more aggressive investments, that is your stocks or alternatives or your more aggressive investments, should be in that tax-free account because it's growing more. The chance of it growing more, like the last 13 years, we've been hammered this year, but there's been extremely good growth through the big bull market. And so what happens is when that money comes out, all that growth, what is it? Tax-free. But on traditional, that's where you would put your bonds, you put your money market, that you put your fixed index and your MIGAs. I'd rather have that go into the traditional IRA because much more safety, but in turn that teeter-totter gives you normally much less return in the good years because you're not taking the risk. So there your growth won't normally be as much, a much safer ride, but it won't be as much. So that's, I call it tax allocation. Tax allocation. I think that's very important with your clients because that's one of the great ways for them you can make them more money is by having them pay less in taxation. If you got any questions, certainly, type it on in. I'll be more than happy to help you with that. Steve, I can't find the clicker here. There it is. Okay, good. Ed Slott. Yeah, he's in that Retirement Savings Time Bomb. If you don't own that book, you should get the newest edition. I mean, it's a few years old. It's excellent, just excellent. But he says Roth IRA conversions are the silver lining to the economic crisis. These may be the lowest tax rates you'll see for the rest of your life. It's true. It's going to go nowhere but higher from here. And it's better to be in tax-free if they're going to go higher than taxable if they're going to go higher. So as we're finishing on up here, you ask yourself, who's a good candidate? Well, people who want to manage tax liability. I tell you what, I've given over 550 public seminars. I've given 100 Social Security. Social Security is hot right now. I mean, if you're not marketing Social Security, that's a mistake also. And I coach that through the FMO of IAMS. But I will say this, is that I'm going to do putting together a tax seminar, and I'm going to test it out October, November, December. And I hope I do well on that, because if I am, then I'm going to roll that on out to the sales force within the IAMS, because it will be proprietary. But I will say this: people who are trying to limit taxes, and there's a lot of people that want to do that, especially well-to-do clients. You have more flexibility because Roth is after-tax money, and if you have to take money on out, there is no penalty. There's no holding period. It's just a return of principal, so it does give you some option there. I will say Roth 401ks. So here is kind of interesting. If you're in a 401k, most 401ks did not have a Roth component within that 401k. It didn't, but many more now do. So that's something to ask your employer. Does my 401k have a Roth component? And maybe split the money on that. Make sure it's matched, but split the money. I'd also say who is a good candidate. They don't need the Roth IRA money in the early stages for living expenses, and that legacy. I think that legacy is pretty important to, especially higher net worth people. I think it's quite important. Okay, so those are kind of some ideas of who may be a good candidate. Okay, now who's not a good candidate? Someone who needs their money right away. Who's not a good candidate? Someone who's going to stay in a lower bracket. Once they quit, they're in a lower bracket, and then if they can't afford to pay for that conversion through outside money, savings or investments, and not the conversion money. Okay. So what's a myth here? Conversion may be great for young people who have many years to retire, but it doesn't make sense for older individuals. It's not the case. That was my banker friend. I mean, it was a wealth transfer of money, and those kids, when they inherited that money, they can't go in over their lifetime, but when they take RMDs out or the money out within 10 years, there is no taxation on that. What a beautiful thing! What a beautiful, beautiful thing. There's no saying that says procrastination is my sin. It brings me constant sorrow. I really shouldn't practice it. Perhaps I'll stop. Well, my friends, tomorrow never comes. The people who take action are usually the most successful people. And if you heard something today about Roth conversions, they're not doing many. And I do coaching just strictly on Roth conversions. It talks about the Roth conversion, all the rules and regulation, how to go market it. And I do 2 coaching sessions on that. They're a couple $100 a piece, $400. That, and then I also do a complete sales process. And of course, part of a smaller amount of my money, most of it's for production, but the whole sales process, of marketing a fixed indexed or MIGA or wealth management, but 3 appointments on that. So there is coaching available, and most people that are higher end producers either now or at one time did have coaches, including myself. I had an outside coach several times. So let's do this. Let's open up the kind of the lines here. If you would like to go in and get more information on Roth conversions, just mark yes. And Steve, I'll let you take it from here.
Thanks, Dave. There are a couple of questions. So yes, this is a recorded event. It'll be out on our YouTube channel. For those of you that haven't been to our website, I did chat that to I think to the whole audience earlier. Hopefully I did it to the whole audience, not just the person that asked the question. So it's at www.imzinc.com, and then the YouTube channel symbol is up in the upper right-hand corner. You go there. It will be probably tomorrow now before that actually gets posted. It takes a while to convert it and then post it. So if you have questions before then, certainly I would check yes, and Brady will then call you. He can answer some questions. If it's specifically about Roth conversions and you need more information on that or some coaching, then I would hit yes, and then we'll set you up with a call with Dave on that as well. So should be good stuff. Dave, do you use a software calculator? Do you have something you use to calculate?
Yep, I do. Yeah. So you know what? There's a lot of ones out there, but I'll say this, like Retirement Analyzer. I mean,
Sure.
they got a simple, and I'm sure they do, right, Steve?
Yeah. Yep.
On,
Sure.
on a Roth conversion, yeah. But
Yep.
there's also one by Zurich that I've used before. I mean, you could now there's other ones that are simple. There's no cost to them. You can go online and just Google Roth conversion calculator, and you can do it right online. So they've got free. So I would say this is just how intense you want to get. I mean, some people, like on my Social Security report, it does do a spreadsheet through. I mean, of like a spreadsheet of just like Excel spreadsheet of just month of income. But I normally take a high road on that in a broad view. But you really need a calculator to go in and show what is the actual break even. So if the guy's 59 years of age, you can show them, hey, at 65 and a half, if you average, 4.5 or 5% on your investment, say it's a fixed index annuity, and tax brackets, I mean, in probably brackets are going to go up. So I lots of times will show where it's not as low as now, but it's higher. The break evens in 5 years and 11 months, and I mean that's very doable for most people. And again, is there some unknowns? Yeah, we don't know where taxes are going to go, but I will tell you right now, I bet they ain't going to go lower.
Well, Dave, if they need more money, can't they just print it up?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what you know. What? Just ask the government. They're great at that.
Yeah.
I'm sure
I
we're going to
love
get
that.
some bad calls from that, Steve. You started that whole dialogue.
I did. My fault. I had to chuckle when I saw the what was it, like the inflation fighter bill or something. They're going to spend $1 trillion to fight
It
inflation.
it has it has nothing to do with inflation.
I know.
Not a
Sure.
thing. And I'm not going to say any more. I don't want to get in
Yeah,
trouble
we should
here.
probably
Okay.
not. Yeah.
All right. All right.
Hey, if you haven't voted yet, go ahead and vote. It looks like most of you have. I appreciate that. So you mentioned during the course of the webinar that you should not use outside funds, or you shouldn't use the funds from your account to satisfy taxes. Can you walk
That's
through
right.
kind of the
Yeah.
thinking of that?
Let's just, for example, say there's $100,000 and you want to convert that. Okay. And I would probably, most of my clients would partially convert it 25 a year because it just dumps. But let's say it's 100 grand. So that 100 grand, if it's in, I'm just making this up. Hey, Stephen, would you say most fixed indexed annuity companies now will let you um, keep the same investment and just change registration, or don't you think it's half yet?
I think most. I think it's probably more than half.
I think so too. The
Yeah.
ones I work with do, but
Yeah.
I do know if you went back 10 years ago,
Wasn't
there's a
always the
ton of them
case.
that
Mhm.
wouldn't do. Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's because it's popular now. And so if you have 100,000 and you want to go in from traditional to Roth, well, everybody wants to go from tax deferred to tax free. It's better,
Mhm.
no taxes. But that 100,000 is taxable. So what I'm saying is, if you have to take it from the account, here's what happens. Let's say 30% of it's in state and local, state and federal taxes. Well, that 100 grand, if you want to pay the taxes out of it, well, now you're only investing 70 grand, aren't you?
Mhm.
You know,
Yep.
well, you're already in the hole. Well, how about you take enough money out of it? Maybe you got 300,000 in there and want to convert 100. Well, let's take out 130,000. In 30 of it, we'll go in and we'll pay taxes with that. Well, you could do that, except for now you're not just taxed on 100, but what are you taxed on? 130.
30. Mhm.
It just eats you in the hole. And what that does is, because of taxation, instead of a 5, 6, 7 year, average break even timeline, it might be 11, 12 years. Well, 11, 12 years, that might be 1/5 of your lifetime. I mean, that seems like a long time to me to go in to break even. Now, it's different if it's, it could be different if it's still not smart, but if you're giving that like to your child and you're older, that could be a different matter. But I just unless you can go to savings, another, TOD or individual investment, money market, and pay it out of that, I recommend to people they shouldn't do it. I think it's hard to make it work financially because it's years and years and years that you're in the hole.
So Marcus says you're going to have to pay the taxes on the money anyway, and probably at a higher rate if you do it later. So why not do it now?
No, he's right. He's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, we're going to be doing, if tax rates rise, say after 2025, let's say that they go back, and if you can remember the standard deduction right now, it's between about $12,500 or between 12 and 13,000. Standard deduction before this was much lower, much lower. So that's a pretty big deal. And so right now I'll tell you what else is a good time, Steve, from a time standpoint. It's when if you retire and before you go in, when you retire and you don't have any more income coming on in, that is a good time to go in, and say it's before you're taking Social Security or your income is down. That could be a real good time for you to go in and do a Roth conversion then.
Oh, you bet. Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt. So Tully says he is looking on our website and cannot find the YouTube channel. So I'll try and show folks that here shortly. We've got a couple of you that haven't voted. Do not be bashful, please. Go ahead and put no if you don't want more information on Roth conversions. That's all you're really asking for, is additional information on Roth conversions, maybe some potential for coaching if that makes sense for you. So don't be afraid if you feel comfortable with your knowledge on Roth conversions and all that. Don't be afraid to put no on that poll as well. Let's see.
Hey, Steve, something real quick. This was actually a couple webinars ago, but if you remember, a person asked, "What's in it for me?" Which is an interesting question. But what's in it for the? Do you remember that, or something like that? Anyway, yeah. Well, what happens is it's like Social Security. What's in it for me? Well, you know what? Social Security per se, there's no commission. A conversion, if you got XYZ fixed index and you take that exact same XYZ fixed index and just change registration from traditional to Roth, there is nothing in it for you. But I will tell you right now, in the eyes of that client, most advisors don't recommend Roth conversions, and they don't. First of all, there's nothing in it for them, and the second thing is that they may not understand all the ins and outs of that conversion. So I will say this. I mean, I'll let you know right now. Do I do them every week? No. Do I do them every month? Yeah, every month and a half. Absolutely, I do. So I'll go in maybe 6 to 10 a year of Roth conversions. But most of the folks that do a Roth conversion, they're not poor. They're socioeconomically on the higher end of the class because they're taxation conscious, and that just means they have more money available in the other aspects of their portfolio. So I'm just telling you, Roth conversions, if you're not doing them, you should. It opens up some doors to you, so some wealthy folks that you may not have had a chance to prospect before.
Perfect. Talk for a minute about because I know Roth conversions are something that comes up kind of like one of your regular calls to action on your radio show.
Yep,
but
it does. Yep.
Talk a little bit about your radio show and how, what's it mean to have good calls to action when you're doing a radio show? What happens when you have those?
Well, it's called Retirement Boss Radio, and I had done radio for quite a few years and had a live show for 11 years called Your Money Matters. This is a recorded show, but sounds live. Have your own little studio in your office or your home, and it's open to everyone with IAMS because it's proprietary to the IAMS sales force. But there are certainly call to actions, and one is if you told someone would a guaranteed tax-free income stream for life be important to you? That's a fixed index.
Mm-hmm. I think we lost you, Dave. I think we lost Dave. he was getting ready to make a great point too. So I think what Dave's point was going to be is, during the course of his radio show, he'll have a number of calls to action. So he'll talk about Social Security and how important it is to get it at the right time. And he'll say, hey, if you want to learn more about what's right for you, certainly be one of the first $4 or $5. We'll give you a complimentary Social Security claiming report. Roth Conversions, he might say the same thing. And of course, each one of those calls to actions, and the client or the prospect is then calling in and they're getting an appointment set with Dave. So on an average, per average radio show, Dave's getting about 2 or 3 appointments. Plus, as you can imagine, you build a lot of name recognition in your area, and a lot of, kind of builds your brand, if you will, in your area when you do it radio. I think that's probably the undersold part of it, because if you are doing things like seminars, or even if you do a lot of your business via referrals, certainly when you're on the radio, that makes you, I think, a lot more referable by your clients to their friends. They just say, oh, yeah, he's on, you can listen to him on the radio on Saturday at 10, and that's, so I think I like radio for that reason. I did just, I'll try and go back while we were chatting there. I took you to our website really quick, do it again. And then that's where you will find the YouTube, all of our YouTubes out there. And you'll see, like right here, for instance, this is another webinar that we did on Roth Conversions. That wasn't Dave and I, but that was in conjunction with one of our carriers that has a particular benefit to doing Roth Conversions. Let's see, it's probably a Roth Conversion. Hey, Dave, you're back. What happened?
Unbelievable. All of our phone lines went down for like 20 seconds. I mean, they just shut off. So I don't know, but I'm back. Sorry, guys and gals. I'm sorry about that, but I am back.
So I just showed them. I finished off your point there. I talked about Retirement Boss Radio, and I'm just going to show them really quick. I think as long as we have a second, I'm going to show them your website. Go to it really quick. And I think what's valuable here, if a person wanted to listen to a radio show, and a lot of valuable information, don't mean to but it's nice to listen to the shows themselves. And they're actually, you can listen to the recording, for instance, of the one Dave just did last week, or you can go back further back. But these are all, you see, these are half-hour segments. He does an hour show, and Dave, you might want to walk him through that really quick.
Yeah, it's an hour show. It's recorded. We actually record for a half an hour. We pick up a second show for a half an hour that's pre-recorded, so that gives us the hour. They run every week. I do mine on Sundays from 12 to 1, and I'm telling you what, it's a turnkey system. I put it together. It's recorded, which is very nice, so you don't have to be at the radio station like I did for 11 years ago. And lots of people listen to the radio. Seminars and radio are the mainstay for my marketing, and I'm very consistent. I like to get 10 appointments a month. That's, albeit whether a seminar or whether it be a radio, but 10 appointments, set appointments. We have a call center, a live call center. So when people call in, say, I have a question for Dave, or I want to meet Dave. Well, let's get you on Dave's calendar, and boom, that's it. I mean, I just had an appointment today, a closing appointment today, which I think that I will get. It's 305,000. I had another one, 178,000. Both of those came from radio, and it just keeps those. If you don't have a steady stream of appointments getting set up to you by marketing, then we probably need to talk. So it's not for everybody, but I certainly have a radio face, and so I love being on radio. I shouldn't say I've never been on television, but radio has been a real good medium for me. And lots of people think it's very extremely costly. Most radio for a whole month, meaning for 4 or 5 weeks, hour on the radio, all inclusive with the call center, with the production, with the co-host, with the average. You have 10 to 15 normally advertisements, 20 to 30 seconds promoting your show each week. Yeah, you're probably talking $3,000 to $4,000 a month. So I'm not saying that's peanuts, but I'll tell you, for what you get out of that, you get a lot. And we have quite a few cities that we're in right now, but we still, of course, have cities that are open, 100,000 people or more. But www.retirementbossradio.com. That's if you want to know a little more about that, www.retirementbossradio.com.
Perfect. Thanks for going through that with us, Dave. I would agree with you. That's probably, in terms of efficiency, in terms of time and money, I don't know that there's anything better than radio right now, although you would probably agree there's a little bit of you probably do it 3-4 weeks before you get real comfortable with it and you start
That's
seeing,
right.
some,
That's right.
return. And before people start saying, "Hey, Dave, heard you on the radio."
Yeah, I think we were golfing one time at
Yeah.
my golf club in my local, and someone said, "Hey, how can I see you here when I just heard you on radio?" And they're kidding with me, but yeah, but it's a good medium. It really, really is. One that's not used very much either, is it, Steve?
No, not as much as I think the opportunity there is massive. And a good thing to do would be just to listen. Most of your folks, most of their radio times are going to be between 8 and noon on a Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, I would say eight. I would say eight. Well, the prime time is 7 till 2 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday, and probably a little bit more on Saturday. But I have a Sunday time. I had a chance to go Saturday. I did not because I just have had such good luck on that Sunday time. So it's marketing is just finding something that works pretty well, but doing it over and over and over again. I mean, that's where the consistency is key.
You betcha.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good. I'm just going to double check before we go. I'm going to make sure nobody had any last questions that we didn't answer.
Okay.
I did. I did set a long retirement analyzer. I don't know if everyone's able to see my chat messages. So we talked about a method by which they could calculate Roth conversion, the validity of a Roth conversion for a particular client. And that's, you just call your sales director here, ask for the retirement analyzer software access, and we'll walk you through that. And we pay, for our producers, we pay for that. So you don't have any expense out of pocket on that. So it's a really good deal. I think with that, we've answered everything. I don't think we have any more questions. I appreciate you taking some time out of your schedule today, Dave, and I really appreciate the folks that joined us taking some time out. I know you got a lot of things to do, and after you're in the middle of a short week, and gosh, has there been a busier time in our business than
just a great time? Great time to be in the business, isn't it?
It really is. It really is.
A lot of motion of money, no doubt. Right now, people are very concerned, getting second looks at the portfolio. Why their advisors are not calling them. If you're not working extra hard right now, you're making a mistake. I've had some of the biggest months I've ever had in the last 6 months just because of what's happened to the market.
It is prime time for sure.
Good,
everybody. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Dave. And have a great afternoon. We appreciate it. And if you need anything, give us a call here at the office. It's 800-255-5055. You can ask for myself if you like. You can ask for any annuity sales director, and we'll get you in touch if need be with Dave. And if you did put yes on the poll, probably Brady will give you a call here shortly and touch base with you here from our office. So have a great afternoon. Thank you for taking Brady's call when he calls, and appreciate your business.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good one. Bye now.